Okay, I just cut myself off again. I'm terrible at this today. Okay, part 3. I don't know if I'm going to stitch all these together or leave them separate or what. Anyway, as you run the story through you, you start becoming a different person, right? And everything you do and everything you are feeds into the stories you write, and your stories feed into you. They change you. If your story is just you tossing out your opinion to the world, then you're ranting, and you're not putting yourself at risk. And if you're not putting yourself at risk, if you're not letting your stories teach you things, if you're not letting the wisdom of the capital S story or the capital A art or, the capital T theater or whatever it is that you're doing, capital C chef, if you're not letting the wisdom of that thing that you've built affect you, then if you're holding it separate from you, then you can't solve the impossible problems. Wow, that sounds like bullshit, but oh God, is it true. Writing the story has made me a stronger person. Writing the story has made me figure out so many things. From the extremely woo to the extremely practical, writing the story has taught me a lot about the world around me. Not just because of the research I'm doing, but because I've had to think through all the things that I kind of offhandedly thought would work and go, this will not work. And having to face those barriers about assholes. I will never be able to change an asshole. Assholes don't change. That is the tragedy of loving an asshole, being around an asshole, having assholes for family, being in a system run by assholes. Assholes don't change. They don't have that same type of consciousness. It's terrible. When people don't have a conscience, it's because they are not conscious. They can think things, but never internalize them, never truly know them. They never truly know what it means to hurt someone. They only know that it gets them what they want or it doesn't. They only know they might want to be in love, they might want to care about people, but they can't. And it's a terrible handicap. It is the worst handicap there is. And you can't change it. You have to go around it. And what stories do, unless they're written by assholes, what stories do, what they should do, is either help you endure being around that, or they should help you figure out how to go around and get what you need, despite assholes being in charge of you. And in order to write this story, and in order to fix the parts of me that were broken by the assholes in my life, I had to change. I could not design a story about healing from trauma, generational trauma, from personal trauma, from family trauma, from relationship trauma. The traumatized person can't resolve that. But the traumatized person that I was could run it through story with a capital S. And story could change the person who is traumatized into someone who feels a sense of safety and sense of security, a sense of self, and more things that are opening up now. The story with a capital S can calculate a different person than started the story. The person who finishes this series that I'm writing now is not the same person that I was when I started it. Like, I'm still the same basic hardware. I still have the same neurons, more or less. They're just connected a little differently, right? But I'm not essentially running on fear anymore. And I haven't been for a while, and it's really freaking weird. I can't. I guess you'd have to know me to really believe this. But I'm pretty sure the people who know me know how different I have been over the last couple of years. People who've known me long enough have seen the slow decline into numbness and self-defeat and hating myself. Well, I've always hated myself, but there's always been my mom there. I've lost a lot since I met many of the writers that I met when I first started. I lost a lot from then. I had a much greater joy in life at that point than I did when I got divorced. There was a long, slow decline. A lot of stupidity on my part. I hurt a lot of people by just refusing to see. They would ask me questions, and I wouldn't be able to answer them in any acceptable way, so the question would go away, and I would avoid that person. And it kills me now. Like, dang, I could have known all these cool people for so much longer. It does. I kind of vaguely knew that I liked being around them, so I sort of hung around on social media, but it's weird. Anyway, I got out of the marriage and I went straight into a job where my boss, although I like her, she's a borderline asshole, and she got pushed to a position where she went full asshole for a long time and did things that were wrong. And she had no real way back other than to quit. And it kept me kind of in the same place for a long time. So it wasn't until I got out of there and got fired and decided after many, many failed job attempts where people be like, oh yes, you're so great, just hang around another couple of weeks and we'll tell you that you get the job, and then they never would, right? Once I got past that and I went like, oh, dude, if only I could be a professional writer. And I'm like, how many fucking books have I written? Then I sat down and I started working on the series. It's only been since then that stuff has gotten, like, I'm getting myself back as a person. Like, I can probably go back through the books and go, like, here is where I was still essentially scared. Here is where I started finding a sense of safety, but not really sure about it. Here's where I started getting a sense of security. Here's where I started opening up and going like, oh, I'm a person. I am a person. Holy shit, I'm not just a series of masks, There's something under here. I don't know what it is. Great. But people who know me have seen this happen. They're seeing it happen. I am using the engines of story, with a capital S, to slowly grind through all of this bullshit in my way and be a different person. It is rewriting me. I think that'll make this like the third book that saved my life. Holy shit. Like, my comfort food for a long time was The Hobbit. And I read that fucking thing. This particularly illustrated book. And I have a copy of it with the right artist, but I can't remember the guy's name. It's not the normal Tolkien illustrator. I can't remember what the other guy's name is. Anyway, I have this copy of The Hobbit, and I used to go to the library and Chamberlain all the time, and I'd just read it. And then I'd finish it, and then I'd read it again. And I'd finish it, and I'd read it again. And I'd finish it, and I'd read it again. I'd check it out and take it home and read it. and then I'd have to return it, and I'd read it at the library. I read it over and over and over again, and it saved my life during a really, really bad time. I don't know what I would have done if I hadn't had that. Probably really bad things. And later, I read, still in Chamberlain, later I read More Than Human, T.S. Sturgeon, and that gave me hope that there would be a way out. It was the first book that I ever read that implied that empathy was a superpower. Like, knowing people the way I know them wasn't forbidden. That's just my mom. I could belong somewhere. I could be with other people and have them accept me. I could have a found family. I didn't have to just fit into my family somehow. I could build a family. I didn't have to accept the one I was born into. And that was amazing. And that saved my life too. And this will be the third book. This will be the third book that saved me from getting erased, I guess. Or helped me get back from getting erased. I don't know what saved me from getting erased. If they could say like there was a book, there wasn't really. But this definitely is me reassembling myself and going like, I don't want to be erased. I don't want to be nobody. I don't want to go quietly into the night. I don't want to silence myself. I don't want to be disappointed in myself anymore. I don't want to give up. It's really hard to say this, but if it weren't for Ray, I don't know if I would be alive. I don't know that I would have killed myself, but, I wouldn't have been attentive enough to keep everything together if I didn't have someone else to do it for. I would not have had the will to live at some points. Putting it back together has been super sucky. Finding my own reasons to live has been super sucky. But I'm incredibly grateful for it, right? Things aren't going to work out perfectly or wonderfully or magnificently. On some level, I just know that. I don't know if that's true or not. That's still a belief that I cling to right now, I guess. But I have the chance to fail. I have the chance to try. I get to want things. Yeah, I get to go. I may never get what I want, but I get to want it. And that's new. It's pretty cool. Life out in this place where it's an impossible situation and there are no solutions. And every day is a weird little thread through, I don't know, Scylla and Charybdis or something. It's not comfortable. It's not safe. It's not particularly fun. I enjoy it, but it's not, I take pleasure in it, but it's not particularly fun. It's not what I hoped for. It's not what I thought it would be. But it's also better than that. I could not have predicted being where I am, in the state that I am, in the situation that I am, with the kind of clarity of will that I have now. life is acquiring, like the next thing, the life is fucking weird. Life is acquiring sweetness. I don't, I've never had that. Like, I'll have flashes of it now and again. When my daughter was born, that was amazing. But it's much more consistent and continual now. Life has sweetness. And I could not have made that. I could not have gotten here without this story. I could not have gotten here without my daughter keeping me anchored and not just driving off the road somewhere, right? Or you know, getting in escalating fights with the ex. But here I am, and life has sweetness. Life has a flavor that it's never had before. And I'm incredibly grateful for that. And it's something that I did to myself, not consciously, but through this process. Anyway, all of this is which to say, I don't know how to solve this story. The solution that I came up with is perfectly logical, and it will not suit. It cannot be the solution of the story, because it will not survive being ground up inside of capital S story. It cannot. It is here now, and the story's not done yet, which means it's going to go through the ringer and get crushed and scattered and reassembled and taken apart, just like I am. And if I've gone from no freaking clue how to even ask the question of what needs to be solved in the story, because I didn't know. I couldn't see a way through at all. And if now I'm at the point of going, well, the obvious solution must not be the one that I need, that's an immense journey. I've gone from 0 to 1, and I've tossed out 1, and I'm waiting to take that next step to 2. And anybody who's ever gone from 0 to 1 knows that that is the worst. That is the worst, the hardest, the roughest, the most despairing step, when you have nothing. There are no stairs here. There's only bootstrapping. Once you're able to bootstrap, it's not easy. You still have to bootstrap, but you know it's possible. God, this is so cheesy. I'm standing out here talking in the dark, and I'm crying, and it's just cheesy. And all I have to say is, have hope. They're stories. Maybe trust the story more than you trust your logic. If you need to go beyond logic, though, that's what you have to do. And in life, you have to go beyond logic. You can't do the logical thing every single stinking time, because the logical thing is to tolerate the assholes. Let them be in charge of you. Take the easy road. Let them hurt you. Let them control you. Let them divide you from everything you love. To take away your hobbies one by one. To make you question yourself instead of them. To take all of their insecurities and put them on you. To make you weak enough to control. You can't solve life that way. There is no joy in it. Or very little anyway. And you lose a slow battle against nothing. The story and the opposite of it isn't the real world. It's nothing. It's not despair. It's not grief. It's not sorrow. It's not even suicide. It's just nothing. When the assholes take everything that they can take out of you and there's nothing left. I've seen people like that. They're broken and gray, and they don't form their words. They don't form complete sentences. They say things and they expect you to understand them, and you can't, because they aren't actually full of meaning anymore. Their words have been destroyed. They have the string in the back of a Teddy Ruxpin doll, you know? And I don't want that for anybody. So, in opposition to that, we have story. And then that's what I have. That's why I'm a writer. I've been trying to save myself from bullshit, from nothing, for a very long time. And I haven't been paying attention. So I took the hard road of getting better and better and better at story. So good at writing stories that I couldn't escape. I couldn't escape letting them change me anymore. I gave myself over. I said, yes, I give the thing inside me permission to do what it needs to do. And every day that I keep learning better how to write, I give that part of me extra permission to keep doing its shit, to keep changing me, to keep tearing me up and reprogramming me and changing me and making me somebody different. And I just stopped fighting. Some people say, trust the process. I think you have to get to this point before you can trust the process. So saying trust the process is kind of not helpful. You can't trust the story engine. That's not how stories work. You don't just go into a story and say, I trust that I will find the right outcome. No, you freak the fuck out. Every time. Trust the process. I don't know. I still don't have a solution. I've been talking this whole time, and I'm really just trying to talk myself to shake something loose for the next scene in the story, because I'm like, I don't even know what to do in the next scene. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't even know who's going to be there. I'm taking them to a place. They have to cross this boundary. They just crossed it. What's on the other side? Dear God, I don't know. They literally had to cross a green protest fence in front of the hotel. And they just drove through. The cop just waved them through in their stolen vehicle, heading into the hotel where they stole the vehicle from in the first place. And who knows who's there? Who knows what they're going to have to face? Not me. Maybe I'll sleep on it. Maybe sleeping on it will give me some sort of clue now that I've talked about all this stuff and tried to wiggle it out. But maybe not. Maybe I'm just stuck and I'll never write again. You can't, that's not a process you can trust, is feeling with utter faith that you're not going to make it this time. Every time that I don't have a plot in front of me, I think this time it's not going to work. Every time I've kind of only recently crossed into not having plots. Before that, I would make a plot and then just agree with myself that I wouldn't write that plot, that the plot that I wrote, that was just no good. Mostly it was there to establish character names, right? But now there's no plot. I'm like, well, I kind of want to do something like this at some point, just because I think it would be cool. Can we do that? And I'm asking my subconscious if we can do that. I'm asking Capital Story if we can kind of work our way there, but I'm not really expecting it. I'm like, every time I plan something, it's gone. Oh well. Because every time I plan something, that gets fed into the inputs for the story with a capital S, and the outputs are different than the inputs. So as soon as I think up of something, if I run it through story, it's not going to stay that way. It can't. I always get something out of it, but that's not a process you can trust. You can't trust chaos. You can have respect for chaos. You can kind of follow chaos, but you can't trust it because it's not a rock. It doesn't stay the same. It's like trusting a hurricane. You can't trust a hurricane. You know there's an eye in the middle of the hurricane, but you can't trust the hurricane. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Here we are, writers, or just humans, I guess, trying to figure out how to make it through life and going, I can't trust that things will be okay. Life is not okay. Life doesn't do okay. Life isn't fair. There's no fairness to it. But you can also hit a point where whatever life throws at you, you chew it up. The thing inside you takes everything that happens to you, processes it, and spits back out a response. And that's why I think we read stories, is to learn how to do that on some level. At least the stories that save us. That's why we end up reading them. This is the story that got me through the bad part. Either it kept me from going crazy, or it showed me the way through. Not by showing me the way through, but showing me that, like the little tailor, I could always beg, borrow, steal some sort of way through. Yes. I'll cut it off there because I feel like I'm all talked out. I'm all cried out anyway. Feeling pretty good. Alright, I hope y'all have a lovely day. Wish you were here. It's actually a great night, not too humid. The bugs are pretty awesome. That poor baby is done crying. Yeah, it'll be good.